Alright, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show is called Redemption Rehab. And if you tuned in today, it's for one reason. It's because you want to win some money in fantasy football. Here we are on our website, fantasyfootballredemptionrehab.com. When you get a chance, check it out. Today, we're talking daily fantasy sports, and we're talking about how to win some money in football on Fanduel. We've got some great picks for you at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
Okay, here we are looking at week 5 of the NFL season to win some money on FanDuel in DFS. Here's the games that are being played this weekend for week 5. As you can see here, the Buccaneers-Bears game's already been played, but there are 8 more games that the score should be over 50 points according to the Las Vegas odds makers. As you can see here, the Panthers-Falcons game is supposed to be over 53. The Raiders game should be over 55, so we want players in both of those games. This Cardinal game against the Jets is supposed to be affected by rain. So is the Rams-Steelers game. These two games right here both will be affected by rain, so keep that in mind. If you get down here to the Bengals-Ravens, that game could go high, over 50. So could the Jaguars versus the Texans. Look for a lot of scoring in that game. I'm not so sure about these two games. I think there'll be defensive struggles, whether it's the Dolphins 49ers or the Colts Browns. But I do like everybody that's in this Giants-Cowboys game. I think this could go over, and we're going to get some players in those games. As you can see down here, there are no players in the Vikings-Seattle game. There will be no players in the Patriots-Broncos, Chargers-Saints, or Bills-Titan. All those games are affected by COVID-19, and FanDuel does not have them in today's slate. Okay, here we are on rtsports.com checking out week 5 player rankings. And as usual, we start out with quarterback. And as you can see right here, the top ranked quarterbacks aren't in our slate this weekend because Russell Wilson and Josh Allen are not playing in Sunday's main slate. So the top 2 quarterbacks are Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes. We think you should have those guys in your lineup this weekend, but if you do put them in your lineup, you're going to pay a lot of money. We also like Lamar Jackson. They're going to be the most expensive quarterbacks in your FanDuel lineup, and if you don't want to pay up for those guys, let me show you some quarterbacks that aren't so much that we really like for week 5. Okay, if you want some quarterbacks that you don't have to pay up for a lot of money for, let me suggest this guy, Teddy Bridgewater down here in Carolina. I'll tell you what, Atlanta's secondary didn't do so hot against Green Bay. They're banged up, so we really like him. And another guy we really like down here is Daniel Jones for the New York Giants at Dallas. Look, Dallas couldn't stop the Browns last weekend. Their secondary's banged up. They can't stop the run. I think the Giants are going to have to play from behind this entire game, but that's okay because Daniel Jones is going to throw for a lot of yards, and he's going to throw a lot to his wide receivers and tight ends, maybe even his running backs. Try to stay in this game. When we come back, let's take a look at some running back rankings on RT Sports. Okay, here we are back in RT Sports looking at the top 10 rankings for running backs for week 5 of the NFL season. As you can see here, Alvin Kamara's not in our slate, but Ezekiel Elliott is. We really like him, but you got to pay big money to get him in your lineup. But we do like some other guys that are a lot cheaper, like James Robinson down in Jacksonville. I think James Robinson's going to have a big day, and we also like Mike Davis. Atlanta's defense is terrible. Mike Davis is filling in for Christian McCaffrey. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. He's running the ball well. He doesn't have any competition. So I think Mike Davis has a big game. And this guy here, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's going up against a terrible rush defense in the Las Vegas Raiders. Clyde Edwards-Helaire should have a big game, and you should get him in your lineup along with either James Robinson or Mike Davis. Let's take a look at some sleeper running backs we like for week 5. Okay, here we are looking at some cheaper running backs on RT Sports ranking. If you want a good running back that isn't a lot of money this week, it's Jerick McKinnon of San Francisco against Miami. He scored a touchdown in just about every game this year. He's scoring between 10 and 20 points every week. And we're not sure if Raheem Mostert's going to come back, but you can count on Jerick McKinnon to get you points either way, and he's relatively cheap on Fanduel. And if you want a really deep sleeper, look, we got to give Devontae Freeman a chance. The New York Giants are going up against Dallas, and the Cleveland Browns ran for over 300 yards against Dallas last weekend. I don't think the Giants have as good an offensive line as Cleveland does, but Devontae Freeman, if he's going to do anything all year, he's been there for about a month. I think this is the game. He could get you a touchdown, a bunch of receptions, maybe score you 15 to 20 points, and he's very cheap on FanDuel. So I would suggest if you need a sleeper at running back, it's Devontae Freeman of the New York Giants. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the top 10 wide receivers on RT Sports rankings for week 5 of the NFL season. Here we are on RT Sports looking at the top 10 wide receivers. You gotta love Amari Cooper against a banged up Giants secondary. Tyler Lockett and Stephon Diggs aren't playing main slate on Sunday, so we can't consider them. You can go with DeAndre Hopkins, but he's so much money. He's definitely going to have a good game. He's probably healthy, but a guy we really like is Tyreke Hill. He's going up against the Raiders secondary that's much improved, but you know what? He's burned him in the past, and I think he's going to burn him again on Sunday, so we're going to get him in our lineups. And a guy we really like that's in our top 10 on RT Sports is this guy down here, Robbie Anderson of the Carolina Panthers. Robbie Anderson is having a good year with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. He's like his main wide receiver. He's going up against a depleted Atlanta secondary. I mean, Green Bay showed that they could score at will against Atlanta's secondary, so I really like Robbie Anderson in week 5 of the NFL season, so let's get him in some lineups. Let me show you some other wide receivers we like for week 5. Okay, there's some wide receivers on this page you're really going to like. One of them is this guy, CeeDee Lamb. Dallas is playing the New York Giants. We told you it's going to be a high-scoring game, probably over 55 points. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have another decent game. Last week against the Browns, he put up 20 points. He could have that many points again. We also like DJ Chark. If you want to put him in against Houston, he should have a big game. And we really like Will Fuller. Will Fuller's going to blow up against a bad Jacksonville defense. I think he could have as many as 20 points again also. Let me show you some sleepers we like that you should get in your lineup for week 5 at wide receiver. Okay, if you want some sleeper picks that aren't a lot of money at wide receiver for week 5, we told you about Robbie Anderson. We really like him, and we really like Darius Slayton. He hasn't done anything since week 1 of the NFL season. He's mostly been, not getting a lot of points. But this could change on Sunday against Dallas. Dallas secondary doesn't have anybody that can guard this guy, and he should have a big game against the depleted Dallas secondary. And this game could go well over 60 points, so you got to get Darius Slayton in your lineup, and we will do that. At the end of this, we'll show you some lineups with these guys in it, and you're going to love them. When we come back, we're going to show you some tight ends we like, and some defenses we like, and some lineups we like on FanDuel for week 5 of the NFL season. Okay, here we are back on RT Sports looking at tight ends for week 5. On RT Sports, they're giving us our rankings, and I really like these top 2 guys. You can't go wrong. Travis Kelce kills the Raiders every year. I lost a championship game a couple years ago for a ton of money because Travis Kelce scored like 48 points. He had like 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, and he just beats the Raiders up every time he plays them. So I would put him in your lineup. George Kittle had a ton of catches last week. He's going to have a ton of catches again this week against Miami, so I would get him in your lineup. We always like Mark Andrews, but I hear he's hurt, so I'm not exactly sure what the situation is there, but I would avoid that. And if you want a sleeper at tight end, we got those for you too. Let's show you those. Look, if you need a sleeper at tight end for week 5, we got a bunch of them. You can get Eric Ebron. He's going up against the Philadelphia defense that keeps giving up touchdown after touchdown to tight ends. So I look for Eric Ebron to find the end zone. We really like Evan Ingram. I mean, Cowboys defense can't stop anybody, and Evan Ingram's a good player for the Giants who hasn't done much this year, but he could break out this week against Dallas. And if you really want a deep sleeper, it's this guy. We've been mentioning him in our waiver wire pickup show every week. It's Alley Cox. The Cleveland Browns defense gives up touchdowns every week to tight ends, and I expect Alley Cox to find the end zone for week 5 of the NFL season. And when we come back, we're going to show you the defenses we like, and we got a sleeper for you also. Okay, here we are looking at the defenses for week 5 of the NFL season. These are the rankings on RT Sports. We don't think you can go wrong with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're kind of priced high on Fanduel, but if you have the extra money, maybe you went cheap at quarterback, maybe cheap at running back, you're able to afford the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think with the raining, they're going to get the pass rush on the quarterback because the offensive line of Philadelphia is really banged up. I think the Steelers could really put a hurting on the Philadelphia Eagles. If you really want a really good sleeper for week 5 of the NFL season, we suggest the Washington football team. Now, they're ranked 21st here. That's why I wanted to show them to you. RT Sports doesn't have a lot of faith in them, but the Rams are making their 3rd trip to the East Coast in 5 weeks. That's tough. It's going to rain. That hurricane that hit Louisiana should be hitting Washington about kickoff. So it's going to be a mud fest over there. And the Redskins defense could get healthy this week. And the Rams aren't playing well. So I think if you want a deep sleeper at defense to win some cash on FanDuel for week 5, it's got to be the Washington football team. When we come back, we're going to show you some lineups we like for week 5 of the NFL season on FanDuel to help you win some cash. Okay, here we are on FanDuel showing you some lineups we really like. We told you with these 2 lineups, we really like Teddy Bridgewater a lot. We really like James Robinson. We think you should have him in your lineup in every league. And we told you Clyde Edwards-Helaire should have a big week. We also like Tyreke Hill, the Kansas City wide receivers going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. We like him in every lineup. We told you how much we like Robbie Anderson going up against Atlanta. He seems to be the main wide receiver for Teddy Bridgewater. We have everything the same over here. We like George Kittle in both lineups. He's going to have a big day. Mike Davis, we told you we liked. We have our sleeper defense, the Washington football team. The only difference is at wide receiver, we gave you a couple choices here. You can go with CeeDee Lamb for the Dallas Cowboys or Darius Slayton. Either one of these 2 lineups should help you win a 50-50 game where you're playing against an individual for decent money, and you're welcome to put it in a tournament. And you also have some money left over. Notice the $400 up here and the $500 here. You can improve some of these players if you don't like these lineups. Let's move up here and take a look if you want to save some money. Another lineup with Daniel Jones in it if you want to save some money at quarterback. Saving money at quarterback is a big deal on FanDuel because you can put people in it, high-priced players like Ezekiel Elliott. He's $9,000. He should have a decent game against the New York Giants. We got the players we told you about we liked earlier, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We also like Ty Hill from Kansas City, Robbie Anderson, Darius Slayton. We talked about him. One of our tight ends we really like this week hasn't done much this year, but against Dallas, he's had some big games, Evan Ingram. We're going to stack Evan Ingram with Daniel Jones and Darius Slayton. We told you how much we like James Robinson. He should have a big game. And we like the Washington football team as our defense. Let me show you some lineups with some high-priced quarterbacks to help you win some money on FanDuel for week 5. Okay, here's some lineups with the quarterbacks are extremely expensive. As you can see here, Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson are both very high priced, but we've got a lot of our staple players that we like. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Robinson. We've got a new face, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper should have a big game. He's RT Sports' #1 wide receiver this week. So we got him in a lineup with a couple more staples, Robbie Anderson and Darius Slayton. We told you we like George Kittle. We like CeeDee Lamb and the Washington football team. That's a good lineup. Plus you got a little bit of money left over if you want to take out one of these players. We like Lamar Jackson. He is banged up, so he's questionable. The players we usually stack him with may not play. Marquise Brown and the tight end Mark Andrews are questionable, so we don't have them in our lineup. Normally we would, but they're questionable. But we still have the running backs we like: Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Robinson. You got to try to get Will Fuller in one of your lineups. He should have a big game against Jacksonville, and he's underpriced. We told you how much we like Robbie Anderson and Darius Slayton. If you don't like Darius Slayton, you could always put in CeeDee Lamb. We love George Kittle, and we love Mike Davis and the Washington football team. A lot of these guys over here, this $5,800, when you have $300 left over, you could switch out a lot of these guys. I mean, you could always go with Marquise Brown. You can go with Tyler Boyd, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuels. So if you're not sold on Darius Slayton and you see up here that there's some money left over, feel free to put one of those guys in there and take your chance on Fanduel. Let me show you one more lineup with the high-priced quarterback that might help you on Fanduel for Week 5. This lineup right here. We've got Patrick Mahomes going in with a couple staple running backs we told you about. We like T. Hill. He's a good wide receiver down in Kansas City. Another couple staples: Robbie Anderson, Darius Slayton we told you we liked. We like Travis Kelce, of course. And here's our sleeper at running back that might put some damage to the Dallas Cowboys. If he's going to do anything at all this year, it's going to be this week against the Dallas Cowboys' banged-up defense, and it's Devonta Freeman. So we're going to get him in a lineup. We're going to go with our defense we liked all week, and it's the Washington football team. Okay, there you have it. That's our picks for Week 5 of the NFL season. So go out there, take our advice, take some of these players, put them in your lineup, and bring home some cash. I'm Buster Brown. The show, it's called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.